Introduction to Ballads and Legends. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Ballads and Legends by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, translated by William Edmondstone A. Toon and Theodore Martin. Goethe's Introduction. The morning came. Its footsteps scared away the gentle sleep that hovered lightly o'er me. I left my quiet cot to greet the day, and gaily climbed the mountainside before me. The sweet young flowers, how fresh were they and tender, brimful with dew upon the sparkling lea. The young day opened in exulting splendour, and all around seemed glad to gladden me. And as I mounted o'er the meadow ground, a white and filmy essence 'gan to hover. It sailed and shifted till it hemmed me round, then rose above my head and floated over. No more I saw the beauteous scene unfolded. It lay beneath a melancholy shroud, and soon was I, as if in vapour moulded, alone within the twilight of the cloud. At once, as though the sun were struggling through, within the mist a sudden radiance started. Here sunk the vapour, but to rise anew, there on the peak and upland forest parted. Oh, how I panted for the first clear gleaming, made by the gloom it banished doubly bright. It came not, but a glory round me beaming, and I stood blinded by the gush of light. A moment, and I felt enforced to look, by some strange impulse of the heart's emotion, but more than one quick glance I scarce could brook, for all was burning like a molten ocean. There, in the glorious clouds that seemed to bear her, a form angelic hovered in the air. Ne'er did my eyes behold a vision fairer, and still she gazed upon me, floating there. Dost thou not know me? And her voice was soft, as truthful love and holy calm it sounded. Know'st thou not me, who many a time and oft poured balsam in thy hurts when sorest wounded? Ah, well thou knowest her to whom for ever thy heart in union pants to be allied. Have I not seen the tears, the wild endeavour, that even in boyhood brought thee to my side? Yes, I have felt thy influence oft, I cried, and sank on earth before her, half adoring. Thou brought'st me rest when passion's lava tide through my young veins like liquid fire was pouring. And thou hast fanned, as with celestial pinions, in summer's heat my parched and fevered brow, gavest me the choicest gift of earth's dominions, and save through thee I seek no fortune now. I name thee not, but I have heard thee named, and heard thee styled their own ere now by many. All eyes believe at thee their glance is aimed, though thine effulgence is too great for any. Ah, I had many comrades whilst I wandered. I know thee now, and stand almost alone. I veil thy light, too precious to be squandered, and share the inward joy I feel with none. Smiling she said, Thou seest 'twas wise from thee to keep the fuller, greater revelation. Scarce art thou from grotesque delusions free, scarce master of thy childish first sensation. Yet deem'st thyself so far above thy brothers, that thou hast won the right to scorn them? Cease. Who made the yawning gulf twixt thee and others? Know thyself, live with the world in peace. Forgive me, I exclaimed, I meant no ill, else should in vain my eyes be disenchanted. Within my blood there stirs a genial will, I know the worth of all that thou hast granted. That boon I hold in trust for others merely, nor shall I let it rust within the ground. Why sought I out the pathway so sincerely, if not to guide my brothers to the bound? And as I spoke, upon her radiant face passed a sweet smile, like breath across a mirror. And in her eyes bright meaning I could trace, what I had answered well, and what in error. She smiled, and then my heart regained its lightness, and bounded in my breast with rapture high. Then durst I pass within her zone of brightness, and gaze upon her with unquailing eye. Straightway she stretched her hand among the thin and watery haze that round her presence hovered. Slowly it coiled and shrunk her grasp within, and lo! The landscape lay once more uncovered. Again mine eye could scan the sparkling meadow. I'd look to heaven, and all was clear and bright. I saw her hold a veil without a shadow that undulated round her in the light. I know thee, all thy weakness, all that yet of good within thee lives and glows, I've measured. She said, her voice I never may forget, except the gift that long for thee was treasured. O happy he, thrice blessed in earth and heaven, who takes this gift with soul serene and true, the veil of song by truth's own fingers given, enwoven of sunshine and the morning dew. Wave but this veil on high, whene'er beneath the noonday fervour thou and thine are glowing, and fragrance of all flowers around shall breathe, and the cool winds of eve come freshly blowing. Earth's cares shall cease for thee, and all its riots, where gloom the grave a starry couch be seen. The waves of life shall sink in halcyon quiet, the days be lovely fair, the nights serene. Come then, my friends, and whether 'neath the load of heavy griefs ye struggle on, or whether your better destiny shall strew the road with flowers and golden fruits that cannot wither, united let us move, still forward striving, so while we live shall joy our days illume, and in our children's hearts our love surviving shall gladden them when we are in the tomb. End of introduction. Read by Alan Mapstone. The Bride of Corinth by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, translated by William Edmondstone A. Toone and Theodore Martin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. A youth to Corinth, whilst the city slumbered, came from Athens, though a stranger there, soon among its townsmen to be numbered, for a bride awaits him, young and fair. From their childhood years they were plighted fears, so contracted by their parents' care. But may not his welcome there be hindered? Dearly must he buy it, would he speed. He is still a heathen with his kindred, she and hers washed in the Christian creed. When new faiths are born, love and troth are torn, rudely from the heart, howe'er it bleed. All the house is hushed, to rest retreated, father, daughters, not the mother quite. She the guest with cordial welcome greeted, led him to a room with tapers bright. Wine and food she brought, ere of them he thought, then departed with a fair good night. But he felt no hunger, and unheeded, left the wine and eager for the rest, which his limbs, forspent with travel, needed. On the couch he laid him, still undressed. There he sleeps, when lo, onwards gliding slow, at the door appears a wondrous guest. By the waning lamp's uncertain gleaming, there he sees a youthful maiden stand, robed in white of still and gentle seeming, on her brow a black and golden band. When she meets his eyes, with a quick surprise, starting, she uplifts a pallid hand. Is a stranger here, and nothing told me? Am I then forgotten, even in name? Ah, 'tis thus within my cell they hold me, and I now am covered o'er with shame. Pillow still thy head, there upon thy bed. I will leave thee quickly as I came. Maiden, darling, stay, oh stay, and leaping from the couch before her stands the boy. Ceres, Bacchus, here their gifts are heaping, and thou bringest Amor's gentle joy. Why with terror pale? Sweet one, let us hail, these bright gods their festive gifts employ. Oh, no, no, young stranger, come not nigh me. Joy is not for me, nor festive cheer. Ah, such bliss may ne'er be tasted by me, since my mother, in fantastic fear, by long sickness bowed, to heaven's service vowed, me and all the hopes that warmed me here. They have left our hearth, and left it lonely. The old gods that bright and jocund train, one unseen in heaven is worshipped only, and upon the cross a Saviour slain. Sacrifice is here, not of lamb or steer, but of human woe and human pain. And he asks, and all her words doth ponder, can it be that in this silent spot I behold thee, thou surpassing wonder, my sweet bride, so strangely to me brought? Be mine only now, see our parents' vow, heaven's good blessing hath for us besought. No, thou gentle heart, she cried in anguish, 'tis not mine, but 'tis my sister's place. When in lonely cell I weep and languish, think, oh think of me in her embrace. I think but of thee, pining drearily, soon beneath the earth to hide my face. Nay, I swear by yonder flame which burneth, fanned by Hymen, lost thou shalt not be. Droop not thus, for my sweet bride returneth to my father's mansion back with me. Dearest, tarry here, taste the bridal cheer, for our spousal spread so wondrously. Then with word and sign their troth they plighted. Golden was the chain she bade him wear, but the cup he offered her she slighted. Silver, wrought with cunning past compare. That is not for me. All I ask of thee is one little ringlet of thy hair. Dully boomed the midnight hour unhallowed, and then first her eyes began to shine. Eagerly with pallid lips she swallowed hasty draughts of purple tinctured wine. But the wheaten bread, as in shuddering dread, put she always by with loathing sign. And she gave the youth the cup, he drained it. With impetuous haste he drained it dry. Love was in his fevered heart, and pained it, till it ached for joys she must deny. But the maiden's fears stayed him, till in tears on the bed he sank with sobbing cry. And she leans above him, dear one, still thee? Ah, how sad I am to see thee so! But alas, these limbs of mine would chill thee. Love, they mantle not with passion's glow. Thou wouldst be afraid, didst thou find the maid thou hast chosen cold as ice or snow. Round her waist his eager arms he bended, with the strength that youth and love inspire. Wert thou even from the grave ascended, I could warm thee well with my desire. Panting kiss on kiss, overflow of bliss, burn'st thou not, and feelest me on fire? Closer yet they cling, and intermingling, tears and broken sobs proclaim the rest. His hot breath through all her frame is tingling, there they lie, caressing and caressed. His impassioned mood warms her torpid blood, yet there beats no heart within her breast. Meanwhile goes the mother softly creeping through the house on needful cares intent. Hears a murmur, and, while all are sleeping, wonders at the sounds and what they meant. Who was whispering so? Voices soft and low, in mysterious converse strangely blent. Straightway by the door herself she stations, there to be assured what was amiss. And she hears love's fiery protestations, words of ardour and endearing bliss. Hark the cock, 'tis light, but to-morrow night thou wilt come again, and kiss on kiss. Quick the latch she raises, and with features anger flushed into the chamber hies. Are there in my house such shameless creatures, minions to the stranger's will? She cries. By the dying light, who is't meets her sight? God, 'tis her own daughter she espies. And the youth in terror sought to cover with her own light veil the maiden's head, clasped her close, but gliding from her lover, back the vestment from her brow she spread, and her form upright, as with ghostly might, long and slowly rises from the bed. Mother, mother, wherefore thus deprive me of such joy as I this night have known? Wherefore from these warm embraces drive me? Was I wakened up to meet thy frown? Did it not suffice that in virgin guise to an early grave you brought me down? Fearful is the weird that forced me hither from the dark heaped chamber where I lay. Powerless are your drowsy anthems, neither can your priests prevail, howe'er they pray. Salt nor lymph can cool where the pulse is full. Love must still burn on, though wrapped in clay. To this youth my early troth was plighted, whilst yet Venus ruled within the land. Mother, and that vow ye falsely slighted at your new and gloomy faith's command. But no god will hear, if a mother swear, pure from love to keep her daughter's hand. Nightly from my narrow chamber driven, come I to fulfil my destined part, him to seek to whom my troth was given, and to draw the lifeblood from his heart. He hath served my will, more I yet must kill, for another prey I now depart. Fair young man, thy thread of life is broken, human skill can bring no aid to thee. There thou hast my chain, a ghastly token, and this lock of thine I take with me. Soon must thou decay, soon wilt thou be grey, dark although tonight thy tresses be. Mother, hear, oh hear my last entreaty, let the funeral pile arise once more. Open up my wretched tomb for pity, and in flames our souls to peace restore. When the ashes glow, when the fire sparks flow, to the ancient gods aloft we soar. End of poem. Read by Alan Mapstone. The Erl-King by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. Translated by William Edmondstone A. Toone and Theodore Martin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Who rides so late through the grisly night? 'Tis a father and child, and he grasps him tight. He wraps him close in his mantle's fold, and shelters the boy from the piercing cold. My son, why thus to my arm dost cling? Father, dost thou not see the Erl-King, the king with his crown and his long black train? My son, 'tis a streak of the misty rain. Come hither, thou darling, come go with me, fine games I know that I'll play with thee. Flowers many and bright do my kingdoms hold, my mother has many a robe of gold. O father, dear father, and dost thou not hear what the Erl-King whispers so low in mine ear? Calm, calm thee, my boy, it is only the breeze, as it rustles the withered leaves under the trees. Wilt thou go, bonny boy, wilt thou go with me? My daughters shall wait on thee daintily. My daughters around thee in dance shall sweep, and rock thee and kiss thee, and sing thee to sleep. O father, dear father, and dost thou not mark the Erl-King's daughters move by in the dark? I see it, my child, but it is not they. 'Tis the old willow nodding its head so grey. I love thee, thy beauty, it charms me so, and I'll take thee by force if thou wilt not go. O father, dear father, he's grasping me, my heart is as cold can be. The father rides swiftly, with terror he gasps, the sobbing child in his arms he clasps. He reaches the castle with spurring and dread, but alack, in his arms the child lay dead. End of poem. Read by Alan Mapstone. The Fisher by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. Translated by William Edmondstoune Atoun and Theodore Martin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. The water rushed and bubbled by, an angler near it lay, and watched his quill with tranquil eye upon the current play. And as he sits in wasteful dream, he sees the flood unclose, and from the middle of the stream a river maiden rose. She sang to him with witching wile, My brood, why wilt thou snare, with human craft and human guile, to die in scorching air? Ah, didst thou know how happy we, who dwell in waters clear, thou wouldst come down at once to me, and rest for ever here. The sun and Lady Moon they lave their tresses in the main, and breathing freshness from the wave, come doubly bright again. The deep blue sky, so moist and clear, hath it for thee no lure? Doth thine own face not woo thee down unto our waters pure? The water rushed and bubbled by, it lapped his naked feet. He thrilled as though he felt the touch of maiden kisses sweet. She spoke to him, she sang to him, resistless was her strain. Half drawn he sank beneath the wave, and ne'er was seen again. End of poem. The God and the Bayaderé by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. Translated by William Edmondstoune Atoun and Theodore Martin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. An Indian Legend. Mahadev, Earth's Lord descending, to its mansions comes again, that like man with mortals blending, he may feel their joy and pain. Stoops to try life's varied changes, and with human eyes to see, ere he praises or avenges, what their fitful lot may be. He has passed through the city, has looked on them all. He has watched o'er the great, nor forgotten the small, and at evening went forth on his journey so free. In the outskirts of the city, where the straggling huts are piled, at a casement stood a pretty, painted thing, almost a child. Greet thee, maiden, thanks, art weary? Wait, and quickly I'll appear. What art thou? A Bayaderé, and the home of love is here. She rises, the cymbals she strikes as she dances, and whirling and bending with grace she advances, and offers him flowers as she undulates near. O'er the threshold gliding lightly, in she leads him to her room. Fear not, gentle stranger, brightly shall my lamp dispel the gloom. Art thou weary? I'll relieve thee, bathe thy feet and soothe their smart. All thou askest I can give thee, rest or song or joy impart. She labours to soothe him, she labours to please. The deity smiles, for with pleasure he sees, through deep degradation, a right loving heart. And he asks for service menial, and she only strives the more. Nature's impulse now is genial, where but art prevailed before. As the fruit succeeds the blossom, swells and ripens day by day, so where kindness fills the bosom, love is never far away. But he whose vast motive was deeper and higher, selected more keenly and clearly to try her, love followed by anguish and death and dismay. And her rosy cheeks he presses, and she feels love's torment sore, and, thrilled through by his caresses, weeps who never wept before. Droops beside him, not dissembling, or for passion or for gain, but her limbs grow faint and trembling, and no more their strength retain. Meanwhile the still hours of the night stealing by spread their shadowy woof o'er the face of the sky, bringing love and its festival joys in their train. Light she slept, her arms around him, waking soon from broken rest. Dead upon her breast she found him, dead, that dearly cherished guest. With a shriek she flings her o'er him, but he answers not her cry. And unto the pile they bore him, stark of limb and cold of eye. She hears the priest chanting, she hears the death song, and frantic she rises and bursts through the throng. Who is she? What seeks she? Why comes she so nigh? But the bier she falleth over, and her shrieks are loud and shrill. I will have my lord, my lover, in the grave I seek him still. Shall that godlike frame be wasted by the fire's consuming blight? Mine it was, yea mine, though tasted only one delicious night. But the priests they chant ever, we carry the old. When their watching is over, their journeys are told. We carry the young when they pass from the light. Hear us, woman, he we carry was not, could not be thy spouse. Art thou not a Bayaderé? So hast thou no nuptial vows. Only to death's silent hollow with the body goes the shade. Only wives their husbands follow, thus alone is duty paid. Strike loud the wild turmoil of drum and of gong. Receive him, ye gods, in your glorious throng. Receive him in garments of burning arrayed. Harsh their words and unavailing, swift she threaded through the choir, and with arms outstretched unquailing, leapt into the crackling fire. But the deed alone sufficeth, robed in might and majesty, from the pile the god ariseth, with the ransomed one on high. Divinity joys in a sinner repenting, and the lost ones of earth, by immortals relenting, are wafted on pinions of fire to the sky. End of poem, read by Alan Mapstone. The Treasure Seeker by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, translated by William Edmondstoun Aytoun and Theodore Martin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Many weary days I suffered, sick of heart and poor of purse. Riches are the greatest blessing, poverty the deepest curse. Till at last to dig a treasure, forth I went into the wood. Fiend, my soul is thine for ever, and I signed the scroll with blood. Then I drew the magic circles, kindled the mysterious fire, placed the herbs and bones in order, spoke the incantation dire. And I sought the buried metal with a spell of mickle might, sought it as my master taught me, black and stormy was the night. And I saw a light appearing in the distance like a star. When the midnight hour is tolling, came it waxing from afar. Came it flashing swift and sudden, as if fiery wine it were, flowing from an open chalice, which a beauteous boy did bear. And he wore a lustrous chaplet, and his eyes were full of thought, as he stepped into the circle, with the radiance that he brought. And he bade me taste the goblet, and I thought, it cannot be, that this boy should be the bearer of the demon's gifts to me. Taste the draught of pure existence, sparkling in this golden urn, and no more with baleful magic shalt thou hitherward return. Do not seek for treasure longer, let thy future spell words be days of labour, nights of resting, so shall peace return to thee. End of poem. The Minstrel by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, translated by William Edmondstoun Aytoun and Theodore Martin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. What sounds are those I hear along the drawbridge sweetly stealing? Within our hall I'd have that song, that minstrel measure pealing. Then forth the little foot-page hied. When he came back, the king he cried, Bring in the aged minstrel. Good even to you, lordlings all, fair ladies all, good even. Lo, star on star, within this hall I see a radiant heaven. In hall so bright, with noble light, 'tis not for thee to feast thy sight. Old man, look not around thee. He closed his eyne, he struck his lyre, in tones with passion laden, till every gallant's eye shot fire, and down looked every maiden. The king, enraptured with his strain, held out to him a golden chain, in guerdon of his harping. The golden chain give not to me, for noble breasts its glances, who meets and beats thy enemy amid the shock of lances. Or give it to thy chancellor, let him its golden burden bear among his other burdens. I sing as sings the bird whose note the leafy bough is heard on. The song that falters from my throat for me is ample guerdon. Yet I'd ask one thing, and I might, a draught of brave wine sparkling bright, within a golden beaker. The cup was brought, he drained its lees. O draught that warms me cheerly! Blessed is the house where gifts like these are counted trifles merely. Lo, when you prosper, think on me, and thank your God as heartily as for this draught I thank you. End of poem. The Violet by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, translated by William Edmonstone Atoun and Theodore Martin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. A violet blossomed on the lea, half hidden from the eye, as fair a flower as you might see, when there came tripping by a shepherd maiden fair and young, lightly, lightly o'er the lea. Care she knew not, and she sung merrily. Oh, were I but the fairest flower that blossoms on the lea, if only for one little hour that she might gather me. Clasp me in her bonny breast, thought the little flower, oh, that in it I might rest but an hour. Lack a day, up came the lass, heeded not the violet, trod it down into the grass. Though it died, 'twas happy yet. Trodden down, although I lie, yet my death is very sweet. Oh, the happiness to die at her feet. End of poem.
The Seven Sleepers of Ephesus by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, translated by William Edmonstone Atoun and Theodore Martin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. 6 young men of Caesar's household fled before their master's anger. As a god he claimed their worship, though a sorry god was he. For an insect ever buzzing still annoyed him at the banquet, still disturbed his rest and pleasure. All the chasing of his servants could not drive away the torment. Ever round the head of Caesar did the angry creature hover, threatening with its poisoned sting. Still it flew, and swiftly circling, made confusion at the table, messenger of Beelzebub, the infernal lord of flies. Ha! So spake the youths together. He a god that fears an insect! Can a god be thus molested? Does a god, like wretched mortals, feast and revel at the banquet? Nay, to him the one, the only, who the sun and moon created, who hath made the stars in glory, shall we henceforth bend the knee? So they spake and left the palace, left it in their trim apparel. By a shepherd led, they hastened to a cave was in the mountain, and they all went gliding in. And the shepherd's dog came after, though they strove to drive him from them, thrust himself toward his master, licked their hands in dumb entreaty, that he might remain their fellow, and lay down with them to sleep. But the wrath of Caesar kindled when he knew that they had left him. All his former love departed, all his thought was vengeance only. Out in quest he sent his people, traced them to the mountain hollow. Not to fire nor sword he doomed them, but he bade great stones be lifted to the entrance of the cavern, saw it fastened up with mortar, and so left them in their tomb. But the youths lay calmly sleeping, and the angel, their protector, spake before the throne of glory. I have watched beside the sleepers, made them turn in slumber ever, that the damps of yonder cavern should not cramp their youthful limbs, and the rocks around I've opened, that the sun at rising, setting, may give freshness to their cheeks. So they lie in rest and quiet, in the bliss of happy dreams. So they lay, and still beside them lay the dog in peaceful slumber, never whimpering in his sleep. Years came on and years departed, till at last the young men wakened, and the wall, so strongly fastened, now had fallen into ruin, crumbled by the touch of ages. Then Iamblichus the youngest, and the goodliest of them all, seeing that the shepherd trembled, said, I pray you now, my brothers, let me go to seek provision. I have gold, my life I'll venture, tarry till I bring you bread. Ephesus, that noble city, then for many a year had yielded to the faith of the Redeemer, Jesus, glory to his name. And he ran unto the city. At the gate were many warders, armed men on tower and turret. But he passed them all unchallenged. To the nearest baker's went he, and in haste demanded bread. Ha! Young rogue, exclaimed the baker, surely thou hast found a treasure. That old piece of gold betrays thee. Give me, or I shall denounce thee, half the treasure thou hast found. And Iamblichus denied it, but the baker would not listen, brawling till the watch came forward. To the king they both were taken, and the monarch, like the baker, but a higher right asserting, claimed to share the treasure too. But at last the wondrous story which the young man told the monarch proved itself by many tokens. Lord was he of that same palace, whither he was brought for judgment, for he showed to them a pillar, in the which a stone when loosened led unto a treasure chamber, heaped with gold and costly jewels. Straightway came in haste his kindred, all his clan came thronging round him, eager to advance their claim. Each was nearer than the other. And Iamblichus the blooming, young in face and form and feature, stood an ancestor among them. All bewildered heard he legends of his son and of his grandsons, fathers of the men before him. So amazed he stood and listened, patriarch in his early manhood, while the crowd around him gathered, stalwart men and mighty captains, him the youngest to acknowledge as the founder of their race. And one token with another made assurance doubly certain. None could doubt the wondrous story of himself and of his comrades. Shortly to the cave returning, king and people all go with him, and they saw him enter in. But no more to king or people did the chosen reappear. For the 7 who long had tarried, nay, but there were 8 in number, for the faithful dog was with them, thenceforth from the world were sundered. The most blessed angel Gabriel, by the will of God Almighty, walling up the cave forever, led them unto paradise. End of poem. Read by Belinda McReynolds.
The Castle on the Mountain by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. Translated by William Edmondstone A. Toone and Theodore Martin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. There stands an ancient castle on yonder mountain height, where, fenced with door and portal, once tarried steed and knight. But gone are door and portal, and all is hushed and still. O'er ruined wall and rafter I clamber as I will. A cellar with many a vintage once lay in yonder nook. Where now are the cellarer's flagons, and where his jovial look? No more he sets his beakers for the guests at the wassail feast, nor fills a flask from the oldest cask for the duties of the priest. No more he gives on the staircase the stoop to the thirsty squires, and a hurried thanks for the hurried gift receives, nor more requires. For burned are roof and rafter, and they hang begrimed and black, and stair and hall and chapel are turned to dust and wrack. Yet as with song and cittern, one day when the sun was bright, I saw my love ascending the slopes of yon rocky height. From the hush and desolation sweet fancies did unfold, and it seemed as they had come back again to the jovial days of old, as if the stateliest chambers for noble guests were spread, and out from the prime of that glorious time a youth a maiden led. And standing in the chapel, the good old priest did say, "Will ye wed with one another?" And we smiled, and we answered, "Yea." We sung, and our hearts they bounded to the thrilling lays we sung, and every note was doubled by the echo's catching tongue. And when, as eve descended, the hush grew deep and still, and the setting sun looked upward on that great castled hill, then far and wide, like lord and bride, in the radiant light we shone. It sank, and again the ruins stood desolate and lone. End of poem. The Waterman by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, translated by William Edmondstone A. Toone and Theodore Martin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. "O mother, read me well, I pray, how shall I woo me yon winsome May? She hath built him a horse of the water clear, the saddle and bridle of sea sand were. He has donned the garb of a knight so gay, and to Mary's kirk he has ridden away. He tied his steed to the chancel door, and he stepped round the kirk 3 times and 4. He has boon him into the kirk, and all drew near to gaze on him, great and small. The priest he was standing in the choir, what gay young gallant comes branking here? The winsome maid to herself said she, O were that gay young gallant for me! He stepped o'er 1 stool, he stepped o'er 2, O maiden, plight me thine oath so true. He stepped o'er 3 stools, he stepped o'er 4. Wilt be mine, sweet May, for evermore? She gave him her hand of the drifted snow. Here hast thou my troth, and with thee I'll go. They went from the kirk with the bridal train. They danced in glee, and they danced full fain. They danced them down to the salt sea strand, and they left them standing there, hand in hand. Now wait thee, love, with my steed so free, and the bonniest bark I'll bring for thee. And when they passed to the white sand, the ships came sailing on to the land. But when they were out in the midst of the sound, down went they all in the deep profound. Long on the shore, when the winds were high, they heard from the waters the maidens cry, I rede ye, damsels, as best I can, tread not the dance with the waterman. End of poem. Read by Alan Mapstone. The Dance of Death by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, translated by William Edmondstone A. Toone and Theodore Martin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. The warder looked down at the dead of night, on the graves where the dead were sleeping, and clearly as day was the pale moonlight o'er the quiet churchyard creeping. One after another the gravestones began to heave and to open, and woman and man rose up in their ghastly apparel. Ho, ho for the dance, and the phantoms outsprung, in skeleton roundel advancing, the rich and the poor, and the old and the young, but the winding sheets hindered their dancing. No shame at these revellers wasted and grim, so they shook off the cerements from body and limb, and scattered them over the hillocks. They crooked their thigh bones, and they shook their long shanks, and wild was their reeling and limber. And each bone as it crosses, it clinks and it clanks, like the clapping of timber on timber. The warder he laughed, though his laugh was not loud, and the fiend whispered to him, "Go steal me the shroud of one of these skeleton dancers." He has done it, and backward with terrified glance to the sheltering door ran the warder. As calm as before looked the moon on the dance, which they footed in hideous order. But one and another, retiring at last, slipped on their white garments, and onward they passed, and a hush settled over the greensward. Still one of them stumbles and tumbles along, and taps at each tomb that it seizes, but 'tis none of its mates who has done it this wrong, for it scents its grave clothes in the breezes. It shakes the tower gate, but that drives it away, for 'twas nailed o'er with crosses, a goodly array, and well was it so for the warder. It must have its shroud, it must have it betimes, the quaint Gothic carving it catches, and upwards from story to story it climbs, and scrambles with leaps and with snatches. Now woe to the warder, poor sinner, betides! Like a spindle-legged spider the skeleton strides, from buttress to buttress, still upward. The warder he shook, and the warder grew pale, and gladly the shroud would have yielded. The ghost had its clutch on the last iron rail, which the top of the watchtower shielded. When the moon was obscured by the rush of a cloud, one thundered the bell, and unswathed by a shroud, down went the gaunt skeleton crashing. End of poem. Read by Alan Mapstone.
The Fairest Flower by Johann Wolfgang Goethe. Translated by William Edmondstoun, A. Toon, and Theodore Martin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Elaine Conway, England. The Fairest Flower. The Lay of the Captive Earl. The Earl. I know a flowered passing fair, and for its loss I pain me. Fain would I hence to seek its lair, but for those bonds that chain me. Ah, heavy, heavy is my cheer, for till I came a prisoner here, that flower was ever near me. All round the castle's beetling steep I let my glances wander, but cannot from the dizzy keep descry it, there or yonder. Oh, he who'd bring it to my sight, or were he knave, or were he knight, should be my friend forever. The Rose. I blossom bright, thy lattice near, and hear what thou hast spoken. 'Tis me, brave, ill-starred Cavalier, the rose thou wouldst betoken. Thy spirit spurns the base, the low, and 'tis the queen of flowers, I know, that in thy bosom reigneth. The Earl. All honour to thy purple cheer, from swathes of verdure blowing. Well mayst thou be to maidens dear, as gold or jewels glowing. Thy wreaths adorn the fairest face, yet art thou not the flower whose grace in solitude I pine for. The lily, a haughty place, usurps the rose, and haughtier still doth covet. But where the lily meekly blows, some gentle eye will love it. The heart that's warm and fond and true, and pure as mine, when bathed in you, must value me the highest. The Earl, ah, pure and true of heart am I, and free from sinful failing. Yet must I here, a captive lie, my loneliness bewailing. I see the symbol fair in you, of many maidens pure and true, yet know a something dearer, the carnation, that may thy warder's garden show in me the bright carnation. Else would the old man tend me so, with loving adoration? In perfect round my petals meet, and lifelong are with scent replete, and with the loveliest colour. The Earl, the sweet carnation none may slight, it is the gardener's pleasure. Now he unfolds it to the light, now shields from it his treasure. But no, the flower for which I pant, no rare, no brilliant charms can vaunt, 'tis ever meek and lowly. The violet, concealed and drooping I retreat, nor willingly had spoken, but now my silence, since 'tis meet, it shall at length be broken. If I be that which fills thy thought, and how much I grieve that I may not to thee waft all my odours. The Earl, I love the violet, indeed, so modest in perfection, so gently sweet, yet more I need, to soothe my heart's dejection. To thee alone the truth I'll speak, not on this rock so bare and bleak is to be found my darling. Earth's truest wife, in yonder glen, is wandering by the river, till I, her lord, am free again, she'll sigh and weep forever. When a blue flower by that spot she plucks and says, "Forget me not," here in my cell I feel it. Yes, when two hearts are twined, love's might is felt, whate'er the distance. So I within this dungeon's night cling ever to existence. And when my heart is nigh distraught, if I but say, "Forget me not," hope burns again within me. End of poem. The Pariah by Johann Wolfgang Goethe. Translated by William Edmonds Toone, A. Toone, and Theodore Martin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Elaine Conway, England. The Pariah's Prayer. Hear me, Brahma, bending lowly, all from thee derive their being, therefore art thou just and holy. Is it, Lord, of thy decreeing, that the Brahmins, high estated, only should thy bounty gather, only dare to call thee Father, when us too thou hast created? We are noble, Lord, in nothing, woe and want and labour pain us, what all others shun with loathing is the food that must sustain us. When the scorn of caste is loudest, all we'd bear without repining, were thy face toward us shining, for thou canst rebuke the proudest. Therefore, Lord, hear my entreaty, raise me from this foul defilement, or a Saviour send in pity. For the work of reconcilement didst thou not, a Bayaderé, lift from wretchedness to glory? Yea, we Pariahs have a story, giving comfort to the weary. The Pariah's Legend. Water from the sacred Ganges, to bring water from the river, goes the noble Brahmin's wife. She was chaste and pure and lovely, high, immaculate, and honoured, and of sternest justice he. Daily from the sacred river does she fetch the pleasant water, not in pitcher, nor in vessel, for she hath no need of these. Rises of itself the water, rolled into a ball of crystal, to the stainless heart and hand. Such the power of perfect virtue, innocence without a shadow, and she bears it to her home. This day comes she in the morning, praying to the flood of Ganges, bending lightly o'er the stream. There she sees, as in a mirror, from the heaven above reflected, floating in the liquid ether, such a glorious apparition, image of a youth created by the thought of the Almighty, as a form of perfect beauty. On the wondrous vision gazing, feels she straight a new sensation thrill throughout her inmost being. Fascinated still she lingers with a secret longing, wishes it would pass, but ever floats the image back again. In amazement, in confusion, stoops she to the flowing Ganges, trying with her trembling fingers from the stream a ball to fashion. But alas, the spell is broken, for the holy water shuns her, seems to shrink as she approaches, whirling swiftly from her hands. Nerveless, drop her arms, she totters, scarce her fainting limbs can bear her, scarce she knows the pathway homewards. Shall she fly, or shall she tarry? Thought forsakes her, help and counsel are to her that day denied. So she comes before her husband, and he looks, his look is judgment. Silently the sword he seizes, leads her to the hill of terrors, where adulterers meet their doom. How can she, the wife, resist him? What extenuation offer, guilty knowing not her crime? With the bloody sword yet dripping, homeward to his silent dwelling went the inexorable man. Then his son came forth to meet him. Whose that blood? O father, father! Blood of an adulteress, never on the blade it has not stiffened, as adulteress blood would do. Fresh as from the wound 'tis running. Mother, mother, oh come hither! Unjust was my father never. What is this that he hath done? Boy, be silent, hers the blood is. Whose? Be silent. Oh, my mother, is it then my mother's blood? What a crime! I will be answered. Say, what evil hath she done? Here the sword, lo, now I grasp it. Thou mightest slay thy wife unchallenged, but my mother shalt thou not. Wives through fire their husbands follow, children must avenge their mothers. As the flames unto the widow is the sword unto the son. Hold thy hand, exclaimed the father, yet there's time. Oh, hasten, hasten, join the head unto the body, touch it with the sword of vengeance, and she'll follow thee alive. Rushing, breathless, what beholds he, stretched upon the hill of terror? Bodies of two slaughtered women, and their heads are lying near. half distracted, blind and dizzy. His dear mother's head he seizes, does not even stay to kiss it, joins it to the nearest body, pointing then the sword of vengeance, piously completes the spell. Riseth straight, a ghastly figure, from the dear lips of his mother, sweet as ever, no wise altered, comes this terrible bewail. Son, O son, what fatal rashness! Yonder lies thy mother's body, near it is the head polluted of a wretched woman, victim to the just avenging sword. Me hast thou in hideous union blent for ever with her body. Wise in will, but wild in doing, must I move among the spirits. Yea, that godlike apparition, which the eye might blameless look on, which the brain might blameless think on, to the heart becomes a torment, stirring passionate desire. Still that image must beset me, sometimes rising, sometimes falling, sometimes bright, and sometimes darkened. Such is mighty Brahma's will. He it was who sent the vision, floating on its angel pinions. Radiant face and form so graceful, God created in its beauty, for my trial and temptation, since from heaven we may be tempted. If the gods decree it so, so must I, a sad Brahmina, with my head to heaven pertaining, feel the gross and earthly passion of the Pariah evermore. Go, my son, and to thy father be of comfort. Let no presence dull remorse, or hope of merit, through a weary expiation, drive him to the wilderness. Go ye forth among the people, and so long as speech remaineth, tell, O tell the meanest creature, that him also Brahma hears. For with him there is no meanness, in his sight are all men equal, be he leper, be he outcasts, be he sunk in want and sorrow, be he desolate, heart-broken, be he Brahman, be he Pariah. Whosoever prays for mercy, he shall have it, he shall find it. When he turns his face to heaven, 1,000 eyes are watching yonder, 1,000 ears are ever listening, everything to God is known. When I pass before his footstool, me beholding thus distorted by a vile transfiguration, surely will the Father pity, yet my curse may be a blessing unto you, my son, and many, for in humble adoration meekly shall I strive to utter what the higher sense inspires. Then in frenzied adjuration shall I tell him all the passion that is raging in this bosom, thought and impulse, will and weakness, mystery of mysteries. The Pariah's thanksgiving. Mighty Brahma, I adore thee, maker thou of all creation, and I dare to come before thee with my lowly supplication. No respect for race thou showest, giving unto each a token. In to us, the meanest, lowest, are the words of comfort spoken. Thou hast heard that woman's story, thou hast heard her cruel sentence. Lord, that art enshrined in glory, look in mercy on repentance. End of poem.
The Cavalier's Choice by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, translated by William Edmonston Ayton and Theodore Martin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. It was a gallant cavalier of honour and renown, and all to seek a lady love he rode from town to town, till at a widow woman's door he drew the rein so free, for at her side the knight espied her comely daughters 3. Well might he gaze upon them, for they were fair and tall. Ye never have seen fairer maids in bower, nor yet in hall. Small marvel if the gallant's heart beat quicker in his breast. 'Twas hard to choose, and hard to lose. How might he wail the best? Now, maidens, pretty maidens mine, who'll read me riddles 3? And she who answers best of all shall be mine own lady. I ween they blushed as maidens do when such rare words they hear. Now speak thy riddles if thou wilt, thou gay young Cavalier. What's longer than the longest path? First tell ye that to me, and tell me what is deeper yet than is the deepest sea. And tell me what is louder far than is the loudest horn. And tell me what hath sharper point than in the sharpest thorn. And tell me what is greener yet than greenest grass on hill. And tell me what is crueler than a wicked woman's will. The eldest and the second maid, they mused and thought a while, but the youngest she looked upward, and spoke with merry smile. Oh, love is surely longer far than the longest paths that be, and hell, they say, is deeper yet than is the deepest sea. The roll of thunder is more loud than is the loudest horn, and hunger it is worse to bear than sharpest wound of thorn. The copper sweat is greener yet than is the grass on hill, and the foul fiend, he is crueler than any woman's will. He leapt so lightly from his steed, he took her by the hand. Sweet maid, my riddles thou hast read, be lady of my land. The eldest and the second maid, they pondered and were dumb, and there perchance are waiting yet till another wooer come. Then, maidens, take this warning word, be neither slow nor shy, but always when a lover speaks, look kindly and reply. End of poem. Read by Belinda McReynolds.
An Autumn Night's Dream by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, translated by William Edmondstoun Aytoun and Theodore Martin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. An Autumn Night's Dream. Come, list, and the tale of a count I will sing, who dwelt in the castle of Piercers, where tonight the old rafters so merrily ring, as we taste of his grandson's good cheer, sirs. The count had been long in the Saracen land, and well knew the Moslem his terrible brand, when he sprung from his steed at his gateway, and scanned the home of his fathers. The walls, they were there, but of servants and furniture, empty and bare. So, my good count, now you're fairly at home. Matters look rather chilly and scowling. The winds at their will through the windows roam from chamber to corridor howling, a cheery lookout on a wild autumn night. Well, I've spent many such in more dolorous plight, but still came the morning and all was made right. So down on a truckle he laid him, and soon he was dropping to sleep by the light of the moon. For a while all was silent, but hark, what is that, like a scratching his truckle bed under? Oh, it's only the stir of some foraging rat. If he hunts up a crumb there, I'll wonder. But ha! At the feet of the travel-tired knight, what is standing now? Lo! 'Tis the tiniest wight, a smart little dwarf with a lamp for a light, long beard and keen eyes with a glittering gleam. The count, if he sleeps not, to slumber doth seem. 'Tis sported up here we have always been free, since the place was deserted by you so, and thinking you still were abroad, sir, why we had intended this evening to do so, and with your permission our people will bring to this hall, which is spacious enough for a ring, the bonny wee bride that has wedded our king. The hall's at your service, my small friend, for me, said the count, dreaming on in a quaint reverie. Then into the chamber from under the bed 3 cavaliers mounted came prancing, and behind them a troop of small elfin folk sped, to fife and to clarion dancing. Then carriage on carriage, with trappings so gay, you only will see such a princely array at a great monarch's court on some festival day. At last came the bride, in a carriage of sheen, encircled by nobles escorting their queen. Now off through the hall they all scamper, and there in a twinkling they're stationed around it, So readies each dwarf with his little pit fair to frisk it and foot it and bound it. Then the fiddling and fifing and strumming begin, such whirling and twirling and skirling and din, such giggling and wriggling through thick and through thin. The Count, as he looks from his truckle by fits, believes he must surely be losing his wits. And now come a patter and clatter and roar of chairs and of tables and benches, and each mannikin straight for the banquet in store by his sweetheart his small self entrenches. Then in come the sausage, the ham, and the chine, roast meat, fish, and fowl, all so small and so fine, and round circles the best of old wine. They rattle and prattle for ever so long, then all disappear in a chorus of song. And if I'm to tell you what further befell, a truce to your shouting and laughter, what the court saw in little and acted so well, he largely partook of thereafter. The trumpets, the singing, the festival gay, the coaches, the horsemen, the bridal array, the crowds of blithe vassals all thronging to pay to the bride her due honor, it was so of old, and the same we were gladdened this day to behold. End of poem. Read by Katie Johnstone.
The Page and Maid of Honor by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, translated by William Edmondstoun Aytoun and Theodore Martin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Stacey M. The queen's in the hall where the torches are bright, and the courtiers at faro are playing. She signs to her page, "I've forgotten tonight my purse with the gold for the paying. Go fetch it, my cipher it bears for a mark. It lies on the edge of the table." And forth goes the youth through the galleries dark, as speedily as he was able. The prettiest damsel that waits on the queen was lemonade daintily sipping, when somehow or other the goblet so green o'erflowed at the touch of her lipping. Ah me, what a pity! A splendid new dress, quite spoiled by the juice from the chalice. So up rose the damsel in utmost distress, and sped through the halls of the palace. The page coming back in a corridor dim encountered the fugitive maiden. None knew, save Dan Cupid, 'twas patent to him how tenderly both hearts were laden. Of course, when a meeting occurs of the kind, it is vain the emotions to smother. There was nobody near, and Dan Cupid is blind, so they heartily kissed one another. Then up to her chamber ascended the May, to pay her fresh court to the Graces, while the page to the queen threaded deftly his way through furbelows, flounces, and laces. No sooner her majesty did him espy, than sharp as the she-bait lady, the lemonade stains on his vest caught her eye. She quite understood them already, then beckoned she straight to the mistress of court. "Come here, and I'll show you a wonder. You lately maintained more in earnest than sport, that the flesh kept the spirit quite under, that mystical union was only a dream, that nothing exists save the real, that the stars in their courses are but what they seem, and their influence wholly ideal. Observe, my good countess, there happened but now a mischance to a maiden of honor, and my page, who just then was far distant, I vow, is marked by the stains that are on her. Now this is an evidence startling though new, which surely should finish our quarrel, and as they have gained me the triumph o'er you, let them both have a change of apparel." End of poem.
The False Lover by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, translated by William Edmondstoun Aytoun and Theodore Martin. It was a gallant, wild and free, from France he came, this rover, and oft a poor young girl had he caressed and sworn to love her, and fondled her and pressed and wooed, and toyed as a bridegroom only should, and in the end forsook her. And hearing this, that nut-brown maid was crazed and broken-hearted. She laughed and wept and swore and prayed, and so her soul departed. That hour a horror fell on him, a crawling terror shook each limb, and on his horse he bounded, With bloody spurs and visage pale, he dashed on fast and faster. Now here, now there, up hill, down dale, but no peace can he master. 7 days, 7 nights he rides amain, through lightning, thunder, wind and rain, and torrents fierce and swelling. Through lightning flash and tempest din, unto a ruin rides he, ties up his horse and creeps within, and from the storm blast hides he. And as he gropes through darkness grim, the earth falls inward under him, and down, down, down he tumbles. Reviving from the shock, he sees 3 tapers faintly glancing. He scrambles after them, but these 3 tapers keep advancing, sideways, along, upstairs and down, through passages long, gaunt and brown, and crumbling vaults they lead him. At once he stands within a hall where countless guests are meeting. Their hollow eyes give one and all a grim and ghastly greeting. He sees his leman down below, arrayed in garments white as snow. She turns. End of poem.
The King in Thule by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, translated by William Edmondstone A. and Theodore Martin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. A king there was in Thule, kept troth unto the grave. The maid he loved so truly, a goblet to him gave. And ever set before him at banquet was the cup, and saddening thoughts came o'er him whene'er he took it up. When death with him had spoken, his treasures ranged he there, and all save one dear token he gifted to his heir. Once more to royal wassail his peers he summoned all. Around where knight and vassal thronged in his father's hall. Then rose the grand old rover, again the cup drained he, and bravely flung it over into the weltering sea. He saw it flashing, falling, and settling in the main, heard death unto him calling, he never drank again. End of poem. Read by Alan Mapstone.
The Magician's Apprentice by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, translated by William Edmondstone A. and Theodore Martin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Agnes Robert Bear. Huzzah! Huzzah! His back is fairly turned around, the wizard old, and all now his spirits rarely to my will and pleasure mould. His spells and orgies, had not I marked them all right? And all do wonders, shan't I, and deeds of mickle might? Hear ye, hence your sprightly office rightly, featly showing, toil until with water clear ye fill the bath to overflowing. Ho, thou battered broomstick, take ye this old seedy coat and wear it. Ha, thou household drudge, I'll make ye do my bidding, aye, and fear it. Dawn of legs a pair now, had to for the nonce, to the river there now, bear the pail at once. Hear ye, hence your sprightly office rightly, featly showing, toil until with water clear ye fill the bath to overflowing. See, 'tis off, 'tis at the river, in the stream the bucket flashes. Now 'tis back and down, or ever you can wink the burden dashes. Again, again, and quicker, the floor is in a swim, and every stoop and bicker is running o'er the brim. Stop, now stop, you have granted all I wanted. Stop, hold rotted, running still, I'm like to drop. What's the word? I've clean forgot it. Oh, the word so strong and baleful, to make it what it was before. There it skips with pail on pailful. Would thou wert a broom once more. Still new streams he scatters round and ever round me. Oh, 100 waters rushing in confound me. No, no longer can I brook it, I'll rebuke it. Vile abortion, woe is me, my fears grow strong. What grimacing, what contortion! Wilt thou, offspring of the devil, drench the house in hellish funning? Even now above the level of the door the water's running. Stop, wretch, won't you hear me? You for this shall pay. Only you come near me. Stop, room, stop, I say. Stop, I tell you, I'll not bear it. No, I swear it, let me catch you, and upon the spot I'll fell you, with my hatchet and dispatch you. Back it comes, will not prevent it, if I only tackle to thee. Soon, O kobold, thou'lt repent it, when the steel goes crashing through thee, bravely struck and surely, there it goes in twain. Now I move securely, and I breathe again. Woe and wonder, has it parted, straight up started, quipped aright, goblets twain that rush asunder. Help, O help, ye powers of might! Deep and deeper grows the water, on the stairs and in the hall, rushing in with war and clatter. Lord and master, hear me call. Ah, here comes the master. Sore, sir, is my strait. I raise this spirit faster, far than I can lay it. Broom, avaunt thee, to thy nook there, lie thou spook there, only answer, when for my own ends I want thee, I the master necromancer. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Doleful Lay of the Wife of Asan Aga by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, translated by William Edmondstoune A. and Theodore Martin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. What is yon so white beside the greenwood? Is it snow or flight of cygnets resting? Were it snow, ere now it had been melted. Were it swans, ere now the flock had left us. Neither snow nor swans are resting yonder. 'Tis the glittering tents of Asan Aga. Faint he lies from wounds in stormy battle. There his mother and his sisters seek him, but his wife hangs back for shame and comes not. When the anguish of his hurts was over, to his faithful wife he sent this message: Longer 'neath my roof thou shalt not tarry, neither in my court nor in my household. When the lady heard that cruel sentence, reft of sense she stood and racked with anguish. In the court she heard the horses stamping, and in fear that it was Asan coming, fled towards the tower to leap and perish. Then in terror ran her little daughters, calling after her and weeping sorely. These are not the steeds of Father Asan, 'tis our uncle Pintorovitch coming." And the wife of Asan turned to meet him, sobbing through her arms around her brother. "See the wrongs, O brother, of thy sister. These 5 babes I bore, and must I leave them?" Silently the brother from his girdle draws the ready deed of separation, wrapped within a crimson silken cover. She is free to seek her mother's dwelling, free to join in wedlock with another. When the woeful lady saw the writing, kissed she both her boys upon the forehead, kissed on both the cheeks her sobbing daughters. But she cannot tear herself for pity from the infant smiling in the cradle. Rudely did her brother tear her from it, deftly listed her upon a courser, and in haste towards his father's dwelling spurred he onward with the woeful lady. Short the space, 7 days but barely 7, little space I ween, by many nobles was the lady, still in weeds of mourning, was the lady courted in espousal. Far the noblest was Imoski's caddy, and the dame in tears besought her brother. "I abjure thee, by the life thou bearest, give me not a second time in marriage, that my heart may not be rent asunder, if again I see my darling children." Little recked the brother of her bidding, fixed to wed her to Imoski's caddy. But the gentle lady still entreats him, "Send at least a letter, O my brother, to Imoski's caddy, thus imploring. I, the youthful widow, greet thee fairly, and entreat thee, by this selfsame token, when thou comest hither with thy bridesmen, bring a heavy veil, that I may shroud me, as we pass along by Asan's dwelling, so I may not see my darling orphans." Scarcely had the caddy read the letter, when he called together all his bridesmen, bound himself to bring the lady homewards, and he brought the veil as she entreated. Jocundly they reached the princely mansion, jocundly they bore her thence in triumph. But when they drew near to Asan's dwelling, then the children recognized their mother, and they cried, "Come back unto thy chamber, share the meal this evening with thy children." Then she turned her to the lordly bridegroom. "Pray thee, let the bridesmen and their horses halt a little by the once loved dwelling, till I give these presents to my children." And they halted by the once loved dwelling, and she gave the weeping children presents, gave each boy a cap with gold embroidered, gave each girl a gay and costly garment, and with tears she left a tiny mantle for the helpless baby in the cradle. These things marked the father Asan Aga, and in sorrow called he to his children, "Turn again to me, ye poor deserted. Hard as steel is now your mother's bosom, shut so fast it cannot throb with pity." Thus he spake, and when the lady heard him, pale as death she dropped upon the pavement, and the life fled from her wretched bosom, as she saw her children turning from her. End of poem, read by Alan Mapstone. End of Ballads and Legends, by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, translated by William Edmund Stoone A. Toone and Theodore Martin.